That's Sparky practicing his piano lesson. You know, he's kept hard at it for a couple of years now, and he's getting along very well. But one day he was over at his friend Jimmy's house, and Jimmy showed him what he had gotten for his birthday.
A violin! A brand new violin.
Sure, Sparky. I'm going to take lessons on it. I start next week with Mr. Dumas.
Gee, and look at the bow and the case with the blue velvet in it. I wish I could take violin lessons. That must be more fun than the piano. I get so tired taking piano lessons.
The sight of that violin started Sparky thinking, and for days he couldn't get it out of his mind. The piano grew more and more tiresome, and finally he broke the news to his parents.
Mother, I want to take violin lessons.
What? And stop your piano lessons?
Please, Mother. I saw the violin player down at the theater, and I like the violin, and Jimmy has a violin, and he's going to take lessons from Mr. Dumas. And Mr. Dumas doesn't charge any more than Miss Spear does for piano lessons.
Wait a minute. Not so fast. Sparky, you've really just begun on piano. You mustn't stop now. Look at your sister. She doesn't want to stop her piano lesson.
But, Mom, please.
Sparky, the answer is no. Now go upstairs and get undressed. It's way past your bedtime.
Yes, ma'am.
And so Sparky went to bed. But before he realized it, his mother was waking him, and it was morning.
Wake up, Sparky. There's a surprise for you downstairs.
A surprise? What is it?
Well, run down and see.
Why, it's a violin. A brand new violin.
Yes, Sparky. Your father and I talked it over and decided that if that's what you want to play, that we shouldn't stop you.
And the bow and the case and everything. Oh, thank you, Mother. Thank you so much.
And so Sparky got his wish. His mother called Miss Spear and told her that Sparky was stopping his lessons, and the very next week, Sparky took his first lesson from Mr. Dumas.
Hold your left arm up, Sparky. Draw the bow straight across the strings. That's it. Now back again. Just keep that up, Sparky. You're doing fine.
Sparky really worked hard at the violin and practiced every day for a whole year. By that time, Sparky was playing pieces on his instrument and was quite proud of himself. One day they had company and...
Sparky, play your new piece for Aunt Mary. Pizzicato Polka by DeLead.
Okay, you accompany me on the piano.
Sparky. He usually plays it better, Aunt Mary. I think he's a little nervous. Probably your being here and everything.
Well, Sparky continued his studies, but like the piano, the violin became tiresome. And one day he stopped in to see his friend Paul.
What's that, Paul?
A clarinet. A brand new one. I'm going to take clarinet lessons so I can play in the band.
Gee, that's a beauty. Look at all the keys, too. Wish I could play in the band when I get to high school. Can't play in the band with an old fiddle. I wonder if my parents would buy me a clarinet and let me take lessons on it.
And the next day...
Well, Sparky, if that's what you want.
And so Sparky, forgetting his violin completely and thinking only of playing in the high school band when he got older, and he was getting older by now, started to take clarinet lessons from Mr. Johnson.
Cover up the holes, Sparky. You're letting air out. And blow a little easier.
and Sparky studied the clarinet. He worked hard because he was getting near high school and he wanted to be good enough to play in the band. In about a year, he wasn't doing too bad.
All right, Sparky. Let's hear this week's lesson.
Yes, sir.
And when Sparky got to high school and went to band practice the first day, the band played one of his favorites, Under the Double Eagle March. But in the band, it seemed to Sparky that all he could hear were the trumpets. They were so much louder than anything else, and his friend Stan was playing first trumpet. But the clarinets, they were sort of covered up. Gosh, Stan sounded fine playing first trumpet, and, well, you can guess the rest. Before long, Sparky was standing in front of a new teacher with a big, shiny trumpet in his hands.
Don't press so hard, Sparky. Relax. My. You're a little old to be starting the trumpet, but we'll do the best we can. Hold the tones out longer.
And so Sparky now worked hard at the trumpet. Being in high school, he didn't have as much time for practice, and he missed his fun with the other boys, but I must admit he stayed with it. After about a year's work, they finally let him play in the high school band. Not first trumpet, of course, but still they let him play. At home, he was able to play a few little pieces. One of them was called The Animal Parade, and he liked to play it with his sister, who by now was good enough on the piano to accompany him. Well, Sparky was a young man by now, and so were his friends Jimmy, Paul, and Stan. And his sister was a young lady. And they all still played the same musical instruments they had started out with. Jimmy, in fact, was quite an accomplished violinist, and he was invited to solo with the symphony orchestra. Sparky, of course, went to hear him when he played the concert hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall play the Violin Concerto in E minor by Mendelssohn.
Yes, Jimmy was a fine violinist. And remember Paul, the boy with the new clarinet? He had become quite successful, too. Only Paul played a little different kind of music. He played jazz. In fact, he had his own little group he played with. And he was featured once for a whole week at the big theater in town. Of course, Sparky went down to hear him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Now we'd like to play a little arrangement we cooked up ourselves. I hope you like it.
Paul was a big success, particularly among the young people who... And what about Sparky's sister, who had studied piano all this time? Well, she got married and never took her music too seriously. But all her friends who came over to her house, and her husband as well, loved to hear her play because she played so well. She enjoyed playing, too. One of her favorites was Rustle of Spring by Sinding. She played it once for her sewing club one Wednesday afternoon when they got together. Yes, her piano playing was a great pleasure to Sparky's sister. And remember Stan, the boy who played trumpet? Stan had a big dance orchestra of his own and was famous all over the country. He even gave a concert in Carnegie Hall in New York, playing his own new kind of music. All the important people were there to hear him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play something my arranger and I have spent some time in working out. We feel it represents a form of jazz that has grown beyond the dance halls and that has a rightful place in the concert halls of America. This particular composition we have titled Machito.
Yes, Stan was an important man in music. While Sparky, well, what do you think happened to Sparky?
Gosh, Jimmy and Paul play well. And Stan and my sister, too. Of course, they can only play one instrument. But look how many I can play. The piano? Of course, it's been a long time. Guess I can still play my old piece. I think I'll try.
And so Sparky went to the piano to see if he could still play.
Shucks. Kind of forgot even that old piece, I guess. But I'll get out my violin. Here it is. See if I can remember something on it. Whoa, that's a real hard instrument, violin. No care anyway. But bet you I can still play the clarinet. Hasn't been so long. Here's the old instrument. Let's see. Guess I didn't take enough lessons on that. Well, heck, I'll play my trumpet. Gosh, can't even play that very good. Nothing like Stan anyway. Gosh, my mother told me to stay with what I started on. Why didn't I listen to her? I took so many instruments that I can't play any of them well. Can't play anything. Can't play anything well. Can't play anything. Can't play
Sparky? Sparky, wake up. Sparky, you sleepyhead, get out of bed.
What? Mother,
Sparky, hurry. You have to take your piano lesson this morning.
Piano lesson? Why, I'm still just a little boy. I'm still taking piano lessons.
Well, of course. How silly. Sparky, I'll bet you've been dreaming again.
Yeah, it was a dream. Well, I guess it was a dream. But, Mother...
Yes?
Mother, forget what I said about wanting to take violin lessons. I'm going to stay with just one instrument until I can play it well.
Why... Fine, Sparky. I'm glad you came to your senses. But how did... Oh, my. I guess I'll never be able to figure out that boy of mine.
Well, that's the story of Sparky's music mix-up. But it was a good lesson. You see, jumping from one thing to the other usually leaves you with nothing. Lucky for Sparky, he found out and woke up in time. He knows now that he should stick with one thing, whatever it is, until he masters it. I hope you know it, too.